The woman from the bank spoke like she was reading from a script. Transaction confirmed. Then she named the amount. My screen flashed 0. In that heartbeat, a picture formed, a flight booking, a passport, a smiling Instagram post. The thief wasn't an unknown man in the dark. It was the child I raised. And suddenly the world I knew had the edges of ****. Hey everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an incredible story like this one. The afternoon sun filtered through the curtains, spilling across the living room like a quiet promise. It was a warm, golden afternoon, one of those days when nothing seems wrong. Birds outside chirped lazily, and the faint hum of the city blended into the stillness of my home. I sat with a cup of chai, content in my little world. I didn't know that within 10 minutes, that world would be ripped apart. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I picked it up, not expecting anything unusual. The caller ID said bank customer service. I answered casually, but the voice on the other end had the calm sharpness of someone trained to deliver bad news. Mrs. Sharma, the woman said, we're calling to confirm a large withdrawal of 18 lakh made from your account this morning. For a moment, my brain didn't register the words. 18 lakh? I repeated, my voice catching in my throat. Yes, ma'am, she continued smoothly. Transferred via net banking at 9:14 a.m. It was authenticated with your registered mobile number. My hand trembled. I looked at the clock. 9:14 a.m. I had been out watering the plants. I hadn't touched my phone. I opened my banking app with shaking fingers. The screen loaded slowly, as if even the internet was reluctant to show me the truth. And then, there it was: available balance. 0. I stared at the screen as the numbers blurred. My body went cold, but my face burned. I felt the walls close in, the room spinning around me. My throat tightened. This couldn't be real. But it was. And I didn't need a detective or the police to figure out who had done this. Only one person had ever asked for my OTP. Only one person had ever looked me in the eye and said, "Ma, just this once. Trust me." My son. Arjun. Arjun, my pride, my life, the boy I'd raised with every breath in my body after losing his father. I called his number. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. His WhatsApp showed only 1 tick. Caviar's number, his wife, was switched off. Then my email pinged. I opened it, and my world cracked in half. 2 business-class tickets to Paris, paid in full. My money, my savings, my life security. The house was too quiet, too still, and for the first time I felt truly alone. I spent that night sitting on the edge of the sofa, replaying every memory like an old film. The first time he called me Ma, his school trophies, his graduation, the way he used to run to me after cricket practice. And then slowly, all those sweet moments melted into bitter ones. The way he began talking less after Caviar came into the picture. The way he avoided dinner with me. The way Caviar's mother, Renew, moved into my home with her sharp tongue and sharper eyes, rearranging my furniture, my kitchen, my life. I should have seen it coming. But mothers rarely see the betrayal of their own blood. The rage didn't come all at once. It began like a whisper, quiet, cold, but it grew, curling inside me like a storm. At 2 a.m., I stared at Arjun's graduation photo on the wall. His young, bright smile stared back. For a heartbeat, I almost softened. Then I hurled the frame across the room. It shattered against the floor, the sound slicing through the silence like a blade. They took everything, I whispered. Everything. And in that moment, something inside me changed. The woman who cried herself to sleep for others died. What remained was steel. Arjun thought he had taken everything from me. But what he didn't know was that I was not a helpless old woman. I was the wife of a chartered accountant who had spent decades building quiet empires. No one knew existed that my late husband had trusted no one blindly, not even his own blood. He had built layers upon layers of protection, trusts, investments, properties. Arjun had only stolen the surface. He had no idea about the rest. But my revenge wasn't about money. Money could be earned again. This was about making him feel what he had made me feel. Abandoned, desperate, powerless. For the next few days, I barely slept. I drank strong tea instead of water. I dug out files from old cupboards, called lawyers who owed me favors, spoke to bankers, traced the transaction. And with each step, my anger sharpened into focus. I learned something in those sleepless nights. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. It can be silent, elegant, and devastating. Arjun had always dreamed of inheriting the house, a beautiful 2-story property in Pune. He would say it often, with that easy arrogance of youth. This house will be mine one day. It's my right. But what he didn't know was that I had transferred ownership years ago into a trust with a specific clause. If Arjun ever attempted fraud or theft against me, the property would be immediately donated to a charitable foundation. Within a week of the bank filing, the clause was triggered. My house no longer belonged to Arjun's future. It belonged to an NGO for women and children. When I signed the final document, my lawyer, Mira, looked at me with something between admiration and awe. "Poetic justice," she said softly. "Not yet," I replied. "This is just Act 1. Meanwhile, through a mutual friend, I found out that Arjun and Kavya were living in Paris. A rented apartment near Montmartre. Lavish dinners, wine on balconies, posing with the Eiffel Tower behind them. Their social media was a slideshow of a fantasy funded by my pain. But what Arjun didn't know was that his little European honeymoon was sitting on top of a legal time bomb. The bank had flagged the transaction as suspicious. I had filed an official complaint. The funds were traceable. International transfers leave trails. 3 weeks later, the illusion cracked. Their accounts were frozen. Their landlord demanded rent. Their credit cards bounced. The designer bags and fine wines didn't matter anymore. The golden boy of Pune was just another broke tourist. My phone rang at 3:12 a.m. Ma, please pick up. It's bad. They froze everything. We can't pay rent. They're threatening us. I stayed silent. Ma? Are you there? Please. Kavya's mother is sick. Kavya is crying. We have nowhere to go. My hand clenched around the phone. For a second, the mother in me almost answered with softness. But then I remembered the hollow quiet of that night. The empty account. The shattered frame. Where were you when I cried, Arjun? My voice was ice. Where were you when I begged you to just call me back? Ma, I made a mistake. Please. No, I said, calm and sharp. You made a choice. And I hung up. A month later he came back. Alone. No Kavya. No mother-in-law. Just a small suitcase and the weight of his own actions. Kavya had left him the moment the money dried up. I saw him sitting outside my gate at midnight, shivering in the cold. I didn't open the door. I watched from the window as the boy I once rocked to sleep stared at the house he thought he owned. Went back to bed. Then came the courtroom. I filed the case. Not for the money. I didn't need it. But because betrayal like this should not be buried in silence. Elderly parents abandoned and stolen from. It happens every day and too many stay quiet. I would not be one of them. Arjun stood before the judge, pale and silent. Kavya didn't show up. I told the court everything with a steady voice. like someone who had already cried all her tears. The judge ruled in my favor. The money was to be recovered, and Arjun would face legal consequences for fraud. The newspapers picked it up. Son betrays mother, loses everything. His name, once whispered proudly in our neighborhood, was now spoken with disgust. He had dug his own grave. He begged to meet me one last time. I agreed. Not out of love. Out of closure. We met at the park where I used to take him as a child. He stood there, broken, his once proud shoulders hunched, stubble shadowing the face that once beamed with confidence. "Ma, I ruined everything," he whispered. I looked at him for a long time. The wind rustled the trees, the swings creaked softly in the distance, and I saw not the man standing in front of me, but the boy who once held my finger too tightly to cross the road. But that boy was gone. This man had chosen greed over love. "No, Arjun," I said. "You didn't ruin everything. You revealed everything." Tears filled his eyes, but I felt nothing. No pain, no hatred. Just a hollow quiet. Months passed. The house was no longer mine, but it had more life than it ever did. It was now home to the NGO, to children who had been abandoned, just like I had been. Their laughter filled the walls. Their drawings covered the walls where his photo once hung. I cooked for them, taught them stories, helped them with homework. And slowly, my broken heart began to heal. Arjun tried to rebuild his life. I didn't interfere, but he would never again be the center of mine. He had to learn how to live without the woman he thought would always be waiting to forgive him. People often ask me if revenge made me happy. It didn't, but it gave me something more valuable. Peace. Arjun thought taking my money would destroy me, but he didn't understand. I am not made of money. I am made of survival. I lost a husband and built a life from ashes. He thought betrayal would break me, but betrayal only forged me sharper. My revenge wasn't about punishing him with violence or anger. It was about letting him face the truth with no shield, letting the world see what he had become, and letting him realize that the mother who once gave him everything could also take everything away. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from blood. But sometimes, the most powerful act of revenge isn't screaming or fighting or begging for justice. It's moving on. It's sipping chai in the evening, while the sun sets behind a house full of children who call me auntie and hug me like family. It's knowing that my tears did not make me weak. They made me dangerous. I lost a son, but I gained myself. And that, in the end, is the sweetest revenge of all. And somewhere, far away, the boy who once emptied my bank account now sits with empty hands, learning that a mother's silence can be louder than any scream.